Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Cereal at Midnight. My name is Heath, and it's time for another thrift store video. I can't believe it's time for another one of these, because I just did one like a week and a half ago. But it's the season. We're deep into spring as I'm recording this video, and it's just hitting. It's all finally starting to hit. It was a long winter. We're finally thawing, and the deals that I've been looking for are showing up like in full force. So this is, as always, this is like 3 thrift stores combined. My day job, I'm mobile, so I'm traveling around to different places, and I have a route of like 3 thrift stores that I try to check every single week, and that's really where these came from. It's not one store, one haul, it's like 3. So, and I also didn't film any footage inside of the thrift stores because sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't get away with it. Sometimes there's some, people are just like jam-packed in there like sardines in a can. And you just can't do that when there's a bunch of people around wondering why why they're in your camera frame. So with all that being said, I have some CDs, some vinyl, some movies, and some video games. So most of the stuff that we like to talk about. I guess let's start with movies, right? Because we all love movies. I think a lot of you guys are here for the movies. This is one of my favorite things that I was able to grab. So if you've seen my Godzilla, it's kind of an overview. It's an Icons of Horror Godzilla. And some people were like, Godzilla's not horror. Nay, it absolutely is. And I explain why in that video. But now maybe Godzilla didn't stay horror, but I think we can firmly put Godzilla in horror. Anyway, if you've seen my Godzilla overview, my Icons of Horror Godzilla, which I'll link to below, you can witness me melting down in that video because it's just too much. It's too much for one video. But one of the things that I did not have when I was doing an overview of my collection was Godzilla versus, now see, I'm going to call it Biollante, but it has 2 L's, which looks Spanish to me. So I want to say Biollante. Godzilla versus Biollante. Antonio Banderas should come help me with this. Godzilla versus Biollante. But I think since it's Japanese, we'll just say Biollante. I don't know. But here's the thing. This is out of print. The DVD is out of print. The Blu-ray is out of print. This is from Echo Bridge Entertainment. Yeah. And both of them, the licenses are just up, I guess. And so they're both out of print. So I'd rather have this on Blu-ray knowing that there is a Blu-ray, but I'll grab an out-of-print DVD over not having it at all any day. So a lot of the licenses for these things are kind of expiring or lapsing into, whatever. So like Kraken Releasing have put out some Godzilla films, and I believe their window is either closing or has closed. So if you don't have the Kraken Releasing Blu-rays and you're interested, now's the time. All right, next I grabbed Hollywood versus the Mob. Now, I don't know a lot about this. It's a Mill Creek collection from years ago, from 11 years ago. This is 2008. It looks like it's a look at mob movies. So I like mob movies. I like the history of the real mob. The Amazon reviews for this aren't great. By the way, this was $1.50. This was $1.50. So it's a 3-disc set. I'll take a chance for $1.50. But the Amazon reviews aren't really good on this. It seems kind of like what they do is they take a movie and they focus on that movie, and then they talk about the real historical approach to that movie. I'm not sure if that's the most interesting approach for that, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And then it's broken down into 9 programs, and so like the first one is The Mafia Comes to America. Little Caesar. So they've compared the Mafia Comes to America through the lens of Little Caesar. And then the next one is The Public Enemy, Scarface, G-Men, stuff like that. So I don't know if like the whole movies are on here if we're looking at like public domain footage or something. My expectations are low for this, but it seems like it could be cool. So I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted probably in a future collecting at midnight video or something like that. This is kind of cool. This is a Sony Choice Collection burned disc. You guys know Sony. We talked about this before in the past. Like a lot of Mill Creek stuff that's coming out has only existed before in Sony Choice burned DVDs. And I know some of you had even said, I didn't know Sony did manufactured on-demand stuff. Here's one of them. This is the Sony Choice Collection. So this is Walk on the Wild Side. And it's like a bordello in New Orleans. And it's got Jane Fonda in it, which this is 1962. So that's really interesting. It's got Lawrence Harvey from The Manchurian Candidate. Anyway, it just seems like an interesting curiosity. Again, $1.50. I don't know why someone would buy a Sony Choice disc and then donate it, but you never know. You know, so maybe they passed. So it's happy in the archives now. I grabbed The Men Who Stare at Goats. I always wanted to see this one, and I never did. For the cast alone, George Clooney, Jeff Bridges, Ewan McGregor, Kevin Spacey, and the Goat. So it doesn't have a digital copy or anything like that in here. And I think this was $3. I believe this thrift store, I know. This thrift store normally charges $2 for DVDs or Blu-rays, but they've gone up to $3 for Blu-rays. And that seems, look, I'm not complaining, it's still a great deal, but you don't go up on physical media over time. You go down. Like, your prices should be dropping, not going up. So I don't know. It is what it is. But I'm still a good deal. Saturday Night Live, the best of commercial parodies. You guys know there was a ton of fantastic commercial parodies from Saturday Night Live. There was the Oops, I Crapped My Pants. Love Toilet, Oops, I Crapped My Pants, Mom Jeans, Happy Fun Ball is one of my favorites of all time. Do not stare at do not look directly at Happy Fun Ball. Colon Blow, Taco Town. There's some good stuff on here. You guys know who've been following the channel for a while. I'm building my Saturday Night Live DVD collection back up because I had a lot of these 15 years ago. And then I was like, they'll probably release them in season sets because they did the first 5 years of Saturday Night Live on DVD in season sets. But here we are all these years later, and I don't think it's happening. In fact, now with streaming being what it is, I don't think we'll ever see these on season set DVDs, let alone Blu-rays or anything like that. So I'm grabbing them while I can, and that's one of the ones that I needed. Cheyenne, the complete first season. Now, you guys know I love my 50s Westerns. Now, the 50s were the golden age of the Western. If you like 60s Westerns and 70s Westerns, if you like movies like The Wild Bunch, a lot of those filmmakers, like Sam Peckinpah, cut his teeth on television. Rawhide, Gunsmoke, things like that. 50s Westerns were where it's at. Kind of a holdover from the noir. I'm pitching you on 50s Westerns. If you like film noir, which you do, right? A lot of those writers, a lot of that talent, when the Western rose in the 50s, they just went to Westerns. And so you got a lot of really dark, morally ambiguous characters. It's not black hat, white hat stuff. It's very gray, very complex, rich storytelling. And Sam Peckinpah, I don't know that he wrote for Cheyenne. I'm just using him as an example because he did work in television. So this stuff is fantastic. This was $4, which is a little bit much for thrift store prices, but I'm happy to have this. These, like I said, I love my 50s Westerns. So hopefully I'll be able to find future seasons at a great price. I took a chance on this one. You guys might have some thoughts on this. I don't know. This is the Rodgers and Hammerstein triple pack. I don't have a lot of experience with classic musicals, and I feel like as a film fan, I should at least have a familiarity with this is South Pacific, Carousel, State Fair. I know nothing about those movies. I know what South Pacific is through pop culture, but I couldn't tell you the plot. And so this was $4 as well, but it's 3 movies on 3 discs. As far as I know, these aren't on Blu-ray. Maybe they are. I don't think they are though. So this seemed like a good way to experience these movies and to get some of that musical Hollywood, golden age of Hollywood. This is one of my favorite periods of movie history, is that golden age of Hollywood. I love that stuff, and frankly, it's not talked about enough by the online film community, the YouTube film community, whatever, the classics, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. That stuff's so good. So I am going to do my part to check these out. This was really cool. Eric Clapton and Friends Live, 1986, and it's less than an hour. This is from Eagle Eye Media. It's less than an hour, but it's Eric Clapton and Friends in 1986, but it's cool because Phil Collins sings In the Air Tonight. So Clapton does Crossroads, White Room, Layla, Sunshine of Your Love, but Phil Collins does In the Air Tonight, 1986. If you want to see Phil Collins sing In the Air Tonight, 1986 is probably when you want to hear that. So this was really cool. I didn't even know this existed. This was just kind of a surprise. So grab that one. Oh, going back to the musical thing, I grabbed Godspell. Never seen it. I do know that on one of the DC Talk albums, they do a cover of Day by Day, which I believe is from, yeah, Day by Day is from this movie. But I was always kind of curious about this because, so hopefully this will show up. This is Victor Garber, and I believe he's like, this is the story of Jesus. Like, this is a gospel filtered through, like the gospel story filtered through crazy hippie psychedelic whatever. But Victor Garber, I knew from Alias, the TV show, J.J. Abrams' television the spy show, Alias, starring Jennifer Garner. He played Jennifer Garner's dad, and he was always this really dour, stoic character. And then I found out he was in Godspell, and I saw this like photo of him years ago, and I was like, what? So I've always wanted to see it. We just haven't had that chance to dance yet, but now we have. So that's really cool. Last of the movies, but a brand new sealed copy of Big Daddy. I had this years ago. I had this early 2000s. This might be the last Sandler movie that I really like, because after that it got kind of inconsistent. It got weird, mama. But I like this one. It always had the special, like, I like the soundtrack for this. It has the Sheryl Crow cover of Sweet Child of Mine, which I realize that's sacrilege. That probably never should have happened, but it was an interesting take on it. But I really liked the Garbage single, When I Grow Up. And that video was hot, man. She was so beautiful in that video. It was a good song too. But so those videos are on here. And oh yeah, Cole and Dylan Sprouse. Now which one is it? Is it Cole or I can't remember. One of those Sprouse kids is on Riverdale as the tortured soul of Jughead Jones. It's just funny to say, the tortured soul of Jughead Jones. My family, my daughter and my wife love Riverdale. Rest in peace, Luke Perry. Let's do video games. Let's skip ahead to video games. These are kind of cool. These are, again, at this thrift store, $1.50 for PlayStation 2, Xbox video games. So I got Medal of Honor Vanguard. Loved the Medal of Honor series back in the day when the first one came out. Oh, you guys, that game was amazing. It had the Steven Spielberg production, and we had come off of Saving Private Ryan, and he had brought that same sense of realism to video games at the time. Living through it, let me tell you, it was insane. Those were incredible times. The cheat codes and stuff, Audie Murphy mode, which basically meant that you could, like, you just shoot, you can't get killed. I need to talk more about Audie Murphy here on Serial at Midnight. X-Men Legends, the Platinum Collection. By the way, these are complete. Game manual. They don't look like they've ever been touched. Like a lot of used games. I don't know what it is. You guys ever look for a used game on eBay and like the case will be sitting there and then the disc will be like taken out and put on a table? That's a surefire way for me never to buy your auction, to bid on your auction. You leave the disc right here. You don't take this out. You leave it protected, man. You don't put it on a table. Let's just take it off and set it on some rocks outside. How about we do that? What? Anyway, I have this for PlayStation 2, but here's the thing. I have three PlayStation 2s. Two of them are the slim models. I have one original, and two of them are the slim models, and both of the slim models are getting the lid closure failure. There's a switch in there. There's like a clamp. When you close the lid, it's supposed to activate the switch that says the lid is closed, the disc will spin now. And it wears out, and it doesn't register that the disc is closed. And there are these hacks that you can do for it, and I've tried them. You like put pieces of paper in there. You can put there's this thing you can glue down this little flap, or you put tape over this flap. I've tried these things, and I'm still having the lid closure issue. So I have one PlayStation 2 fatty, and it runs really well. So I'll just roll with that one. But the chance to play, I have two Xboxes, and my Xboxes run great. So I bought it for Xbox. Hey, $1.50. Why not? On the same note, Star Wars Republic Commando. This was the Republic era, the prequel era Republic Commando kind of stuff. In between, like Clone Wars kind of stuff. So I never played it. Never played it back in the day, so I was happy to grab it. This is Legends of Wrestling. I think I have a copy of this somewhere, but I wasn't sure what system I had it for. So I grabbed it. Listen, you run across Legends of Wrestling for $1.50. You grab Legends of Wrestling for $1.50. So that's the video games. let's do vinyl really quick. I grabbed Dean Martin's Greatest Hits, which is, you guys know, Dean Martin. Love me some Dean Martin. Check out our Dean Martin variety show overview. The Dean Martin Variety Show Extravaganza is what it's called. I'll link to it in the video description. This thing looks really good. And I also grabbed, you guys are going to be like, what? Farewell Hawaii from the Kilima Hawaiians. Now, I love stuff like this. It sounds like the music from SpongeBob. Not like the aye aye Captain, okay, not that kind of stuff, but like the music in like the weird kitschy 60s Polynesian music. That's what this sounds like. And I recently did a record collection tour, 1 hour record collection tour for my Patreon people, and I was talking about how I have so many records like this. And one, I enjoy them. I legitimately I listened to this yesterday. I put them on. I like to just vibe out, go to this weird place, this weird time. But I also had hopes at some point that I would be able to pull music from some of these kitschy old weird albums that nobody's heard of. You guys don't have this, right? This is kind of out there. And use some of that music in videos or in some form, in some way, to capture some of this music. But this is a Columbia album, and I don't think it falls under the public domain. I don't think, because they renegotiated the license windows for these things. This is for like 90 years now or something like that. So this is technically still copyrighted music from Columbia, and I don't want Columbia coming after me. So maybe I could figure something out. But that was one of the things that I had hoped to do at some point, was take all these weird, kitschy records and pull music from them. Maybe for the Serial at Midnight podcast, which has been discussed, and I would love to make a reality one of these days. Would you guys be into a Serial at Midnight podcast where it's not visual stuff? We just talk about like what we're watching, what's going on, and I have guests and things like that. It's still in the distant future, but just so you know, plans are always... wheels are always turning behind the scenes here at Serial at Midnight. So, all right, CDs. These are really cool. Well, some of them are cooler than others, but we'll fly through them. I know we're kind of running long here. Best of the Doobies, the Doobie Brothers. Fantastic single CD collection of the Doobie Brothers. This is kind of interesting. This is the Super 70s from Razor and Tie Records, and it's from 1995, so it kind of predates that 70s show and the 70s revival. And therefore, there are some, hopefully this, if you guys want to pause this, I'll just hold this up for you, but there are some really cool songs on here. Benny and the Jets by Elton John. Like, why would Elton John allow this to be on a compilation? Like, this is one of his biggest hits. It's just really interesting to me. Show Me the Way by Peter Frampton. We got Hall & Oates. We got the YMCA. Meatloaf, Partridge Family, Fleetwood Mac, Todd Rundgren. Let's see. Three Dog Night. Brick House by the Commodores, American Pie by Don McLean, Linda Ronstadt, I'm Not in Love by 10cc, as seen in Guardians of the Galaxy. There's just some really interesting, Don't Bring Me Down by ELO. But here's what actually, so I was like, I don't have some of these in MP3 format. It'd be kind of cool, because I rip this stuff, right? I don't just sit and listen to CDs. I do rip them. But it has the theme from Shaft by Isaac Hayes, and I have that on vinyl. I have the Shaft soundtrack on vinyl, but I don't have it digitally, and so now I can rip the theme from Shaft to my to put it on my iPod or whatever, my iPhone. Wouldn't it be cool if you woke up every morning to the theme from Shaft? That was how it usually like, they say this cat shit. I ruined it. Never mind. This was misleading. It's called Uncovered. It's from Mojo magazine, and it's Mojo presents 15 tracks as recut by the Rolling Stones. Now, based on that description, 15 songs as recut by the Rolling Stones, I thought it was the Rolling Stones versions, because it doesn't say that were recut by the Rolling Stones. It says as recut. But it's not. It's the original versions of those songs. Probably, Mojo's a UK magazine, right? I believe it is. So probably has something to do with UK copyright laws, because all these songs are really old. And it's Eddie Cochran, 20 Flight Rock. Looks, that's a great one. Muddy Waters, Buddy Holly, Nat King Cole. Songs that the Rolling Stones covered. Try to hold this up for you guys without a glare. That's the songs. It's okay. I'm happy to have it, but it's a curiosity for the Rolling Stones collection, even though it doesn't really have anything to do with the Rolling Stones. I was a little bit bummed about that, but it is what it is. I picked up, speaking of Adam Sandler, Big Daddy, I picked up The Wedding Singer Soundtrack, Volume 1. I used to have this in the 90s, and I loved it. This was my gateway to some sweet 80s music, like You Spin Me Right Round, Baby Right Round, like a record baby, right round, round now. White Wedding by Billy Idol. But I had this and I really enjoyed it. I guess I got rid of it at some point because I was like, CDs, that's the past, man. I'm going into the future. But now here, of course, these are like $1, and you get them. You got them forever. Wedding Singer Soundtrack Volume 2. Never had this. I think I was aware that it existed, but I certainly never had it. And this has some cool stuff on it. It's got Love Stinks, some Depeche Mode, Money, That's What I Want, B-52s, A Flock of Seagulls, Space Age Love Song by The Flock of Seagulls. I think that's my favorite Flock of Seagulls song. Space Age Love Song is a really cool song. So anyway, both of these. Frank Sinatra's Sinatra Reprise, The Very Good Years. This has 20 Sinatra songs on it. I own 0 Sinatra on CD. I have a couple of records, but this is basically greatest hits, and this has got some good stuff on there. New York, New York. Let's see. I've Got You Under My Skin. I Get a Kick Out of You. Anyway, Frank. You can't go wrong with Frank. Roy Orbison and Friends. A Black and White Night Live. Now, I like Roy Orbison a lot. One of the original Sun Records guys, going back to the 50s. But what really sold me on this was who the friends were that play on this. So I'm just going to read you some of the friends. T-Bone Burnett, Elvis Costello, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Waits, Bonnie Raitt, Katie Lang, Jackson Browne. Those are the ones that I really recognize. But that's crazy, you guys. So this is going in the archives. I'm super excited to have this. I grabbed some Louis Armstrong, the Millennium Collection. I like these collections. I think they present good overviews, good cursory glances. But this, The Kinks, Greatest Hits. Now I believe this is a French pressing. Let's see. Just want to make sure that I'm correct. Yes, it's made in France. And I checked on, there's a site called Discogs.com, I believe is Discogs. But you can kind of go get a vague value for what things are selling for. And this is going for a little bit, $20 or something like that. Of course, I did not buy it for value. I bought it to put in my ear holes. But the Kinks, you guys, everything here is from like the 60s, but the Kinks don't get enough respect. They always kind of flew under the radar as far as the props went, but You Really Got Me, All Day, All of the Night, Sunny Afternoon, Waterloo Sunset, Dedicated Follower of Fashion, Tired of Waiting for You. There's some really good stuff on here. So this is a fantastic single disc collection of Kinks. Willie Nelson, Teatro. You guys, I love Willie Nelson. Love Willie Nelson. I have things to say about Willie Nelson. I need to do a dedicated Willie video. Because he's the best. He's like 86 years old or something like that. And I don't know how much longer Willie's going to be with us. And I want to respect him while he is still here, while we can appreciate him in his time. So I grabbed this. I got a lot of Willie Nelson on record. Like I said, I did a record collection overview for Patreon, and I was kind of surprised at how much Willie I had. I have a lot of Willie Nelson. Okay, we're almost done. I'm gonna save the coolest for last. This is not the cool. This is the second from last. Melancholy in the Infinite Sadness by Les Smashing Pumpkins. I'm sorry. French people, I'm sorry. The Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy in the Infinite Sadness. I never had this. I think this, well, in all honesty, this probably should have been one CD. They probably should. Anytime you get one of these double album collections, is it really justified? Even the White Album. I'm sorry. Even the White Album probably could have been cut down to one really good record. But nevertheless, this does have some fantastic songs on it. This was the coolest, you guys. I think this is where thrift stores, you're like, what? Iggy and the Stooges, the Legacy Edition. Disc 1 is Raw Power, and Disc 2 is Georgia Peaches, which is a live album. But Iggy Pop, you guys, Iggy and the Stooges, pre-punk, the birth of punk. What do you want to call Iggy and the Stooges? It's up there, you know, that kind of melding of glam and punk and whatever. So it's 2 discs from Columbia, and it's, oh wow, there's a booklet that just fell out too. So you know, say what you will about Iggy, but he was definitely a pioneer, and I could not believe that I found this. This was $1. This was $1. Someone gave this to a thrift store and they sold it for $1. I couldn't believe it. So this is classic stuff. So this is why I go to thrift stores, things like this. So I guess we'll end on that note. That is definitely the high for me. So guys, how's it going in your neck of the woods with the thrift store findings? What's out there? How's it going? Is it picking back up now that we're thawing out, that winter is receding back into its hole? That sounded weird. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you so very much. So until next time, take care, and I will catch you later.